Project Borough is now available as a podcast on your chosen podcast providers, so you can listen to every episode on the go. Simply go to the description of this video, click the link to the podcast provider of your choice, and subscribe or follow Project Borough, and you'll be able to find all episodes past, present and future right there for you to listen to on the go. Borough's playoff hopes finally die as they drop 2 points at Hull City, leaving them 6 points off the playoffs with only 4 games remaining.
He's in, and he's snuck it across to Hayden
What is up, guys? Matthew here. Welcome back to another episode of Project Borough and Borough's unlikely resurgence or unlikely late flurry towards the playoff places, and that glimmer of hope that was a chance, a slim chance that Borough might still just be in there with enough of a chance to get the playoffs. That has unfortunately died tonight, and Borough's season essentially now is over as they drew 2-2 in a fantastic game at the MKM Stadium. I've got to say, it was a fantastic back and forth game between two very evenly matched sides. Two sides very much in similar positions. Two sides who ideally had to win tonight to keep their realistic playoff hopes alive. And they cancelled one another out. As I predicted in my playoff run-in, as I predicted on the Borough Breakdown, I predicted a draw, and all 4 of my predicted results have come true so far. A draw to Southampton, wins against Sheffield Wednesday and Swansea, and a draw away to Hull. Now, looking at this in a isolated sort of short-term perspective, this is another unbeaten game for Borough. Their unbeaten run has now lasted and stretched to 8 games, winning 5, drawing 3. In any other sort of context, at any other point in the season, this would be a fantastic away result. And it is, in isolation, a very, very good away result. And it does extend Borough's unbeaten run, their great form. 8 games without defeat. But it is just due to the bigger picture, and I guess what it means for the season, that makes this draw feel perhaps a little bit worse than what it actually is. And that is sadly down to the fact that it now leaves Borough with way too much to do. With Ipswich and Leeds coming up, 6 points to overturn, teams around us with a game in hand, it is virtually impossible for Borough to get themselves into the playoffs, and unfortunately you'd have to say the curtain now closes on this season. 4 games left to end on a high, pick up some more wins, keep this unbeaten run going, and it will be championship again for Borough next season. But let's get into the game, starting with a fantastic start. Borough started this game unbelievably well. We were on the front foot, we were all over Hull City, we come out the blocks firing, and we got our just rewards on the 4th minute, and it was that man again, the man in form, Borough's number 9, striking once again. Great play down the left-hand side. This was Mark Clark playing a ball over the top. Borough did this really well in the early stages, getting in behind Hull's very high line, with Jones making some great runs, Lath making some great runs. Engel gets in behind us really well to bring the ball down, play Lath inside, whose first touch was great, and at a rather tight angle, it has to be said, with his weaker foot, Lath once again finishing really, really nicely, giving Borough a dream start in what was a must-win game. 4 minutes in, 1-0 up, dreamland. And you hope we can manage the game, defend well as we have done, and maybe strike Hull on the counter later on. But unfortunately for us, that's as good as it got in the first half, because after that, for the most part, maybe after the first 10 minutes, it was just a bombardment of Hull pressure after that. And I wouldn't say Borough really helped themselves. I think game management wise, we were really slack on the ball. We were poor in possession. We were playing out from the back a lot, playing ourselves into trouble quite a lot. And essentially we were putting ourselves under pressure just as much as Hull were putting us under pressure. And don't get me wrong, Hull were absolutely causing us so many problems down the wings. You know, Luke Ayling and Lucas Engel were getting absolutely tortured down the left and right hand side. They were getting, ganged upon 2 versus 1. They were getting isolated. It wasn't that they were defending badly. Hull were just targeting our fullbacks and they were just getting absolutely bombarded, and the crosses were flying in one side to another, and Borough were absolutely on the ropes. And the annoying thing is, it was all Hull pressure, but De Jong only had to make one really good save, and I think it was from might have been a header from Philogene from the left-hand side, if I remember right. De Jong made an outstanding save to keep it at 1-0. That was the only real tester that he was forced to save. It unfortunately come via a little bit of annoying bad luck and a really, really bad individual error that led to Borough's lead disintegrating in just over 10 minutes because Hull's pressure finally got themselves back into the game, and it was an annoying in-swinging cross from Philogene on the left-hand side. As they'd done all half, Hull, they just kept throwing crosses into the box. Borough's defence was absolutely getting tested, and unfortunately, it's one of them really annoying crosses where the keeper daren't stay in the centre of his goal in case someone gets a header on it. He daren't commit to his far post. He daren't come for it. It's just that awkward ball where the keeper has to wait and see what happens and react as late as he possibly can. No one gets a touch and it finds its way into the bottom corner. And to be fair, as much as I say that Hull didn't test Seny De Jong, their pressure, I think, warranted them and they deserved the equaliser. I think it was coming in the first half. But Borough then completely shot themselves in the foot because not only were we still struggling to contain Hull after their equaliser, we decided to pretty much hand them a second goal on a plate because Seny De Jong, who had been fantastic up until that point, he made an absolute stinker of an error here. He dropped a massive clanger, playing the ball out to Lewis O'Brien. I mean, from various angles, I think Lewis O'Brien deserves no stick for this whatsoever. The ball should never have been coming to him from Seny De Jong. It was, he was under pressure instantly. He was played into a 50-50. Seri pressed, nicked the ball. Suddenly he's in the Borough box and he finishes past Seny De Jong. And suddenly Borough's early lead, that unbelievable position we'd put ourselves in, the perfect position. It's exactly what I'm sure the game plan would have been. We pretty much hand the lead back to Hull City, barring a cross that finds its way in, which you could argue is a bit of luck for them, bit of bad luck for us, but there's nothing that saves Borough in terms of that second Hull goal. It was just really poor, really, really poor from Seny De Jong. A bad individual error, great pressing from Seri. Hull get themselves in front without really testing Seny De Jong, barring one really big save. And that's the frustrating thing for me. It's not like Hull had to work hard to carve Borough open. They had to create something really special. One was a cross, one was a bad pass out, and we're behind. And it's very much a little bit reminiscent of early season Borough, where we would just gift goals away and the defence causing individual errors, the opposition not having to do much to break Borough down. It's the opposite of what we've seen recently, with Borough having so many clean sheets and solid defensive displays. And we go into half-time 2-1 down, and it looked bleak, I'll be honest, at half-time. It looked like, for me, Hull were only going to score more, and Borough just didn't look like they were going to really have a route back into the game. But I will credit our second half performance, because we were absolutely brilliant in the second half. We defended really well. We got a little bit more of a grip of the game. I would say Hull weren't as dangerous on the transition. They weren't causing our fullbacks as many problems as they were in the first half. We were stopping all the crosses coming in. And although we weren't still laying that much of a glove on Hull, we certainly sort of steadied the ship and stopped their threats from being as effective in the second half, and we got ourselves back into the game with an equaliser on the 71st minute, and this was a wonderful goal from Borough. We nick the ball from a Hull City attack right on the edge of our own box. Rav nicks the ball, and then Howson and Jones work it out beautifully It's played through, eventually finds its way to Azaz, who does really, really well to finish and level the game up on 71 minutes. And it's game on. 20 minutes to go. Borough find themselves level, and you're just thinking one of these teams has to find a winner. One of these teams has to get the winning goal to keep their season alive. And as I kind of predicted, and as I think both teams feared, and as maybe Norwich and Coventry were cheering, Hull and Borough ended up cancelling one another out, and it leaves the pair of them gaining a point, yes, but essentially dropping 2, and it's the result neither side wanted, especially Borough, because at least Hull have a game in hand on us. But for us, that's it. That's curtains. And listen, as I say, in isolation, as a game on its own, short term, this is a very good away performance in the end. A very good point for Borough. Great start. A pretty good second half as well to get back into the game against a very good Hull team. But it's the overall context of it, the bigger picture of the whole season, that leaves this game on a bit of a downer. Looking at the team then, couple of changes. We welcomed Rav Vandenberg back into the centre-back pairing, which was great to see. That moved Howson back into the midfield alongside O'Brien, meaning that Dan Barlaser was dropped. Lucas Engel also started once again over Luke Thomas. So for me, this was exactly the team I'd pick, barring probably Sam Greenwood. And as for the performances, Senny didn't have the greatest game. I think he did make up for his mistake with a great one-on-one save second half, which I failed to mention. But yeah, he did make 2 very good saves in the game. But of course, as is the way with goalkeepers, his performance will be massively blemished by that really bad individual error for Hull's second goal. Had they not gotten gifted that, who knows which way the game would have gone. Maybe there would have been a winner one way or the other. But unfortunately, a howler from Senny. And even as the chairman of the Senny Dieng fan club, I am bitterly disappointed with that mistake from Senny. The back 4 were a bit shaky first half, but second half got a real grip of it. I think it wasn't really Clark and Rav. I think Clark and Rav were very, very good. I thought Rav stepped back into the team. He was absolutely solid. Brilliant defender again. Can't talk highly enough of how excited we all are by the future for Rav Vandenberg. Matt Clark continued to be an absolute man-mountain in defence. It was Ayling and Engel who really struggled, especially first half. Philogene on one side caused us an absolute ton of issues. Same on the opposite side. Sort of started to think to myself, maybe this would have been a good game to sort of return to the back 5 that made us a little bit more solid, a couple of weeks ago when we really steadied the ship. But we sort of did that in the second half anyway, although I still think maybe the second half or the first half wouldn't have happened in the way it did if we had a back 5. Who knows? But yeah, they sort of redeemed themselves second half. Engel, of course, got an assist as well, which was good for him. The midfield, I think, did okay. It was a very tough midfield today. Seri's a class act in there for Hull. But I think O'Brien and Howson did well enough, but it was a very chaotic back and forth game. It was a bit like a basketball match at times, so having any sort of degree of control over the midfield was always going to be tough in a game like this. As for Borough's attacking 3, they were a little bit disappointing. I thought Jones started the game really, really well, and he ended the game quite well. He sort of dropped back in the middle of the game, a little bit dropped off a bit, but I thought had a better game than what he has been. I saw him getting pelters online, but I thought Jones did pretty well today, if I'm honest. I thought he put himself about. Not everything he did come off, but he got an assist, and I thought pressed well. But yeah, I thought he did okay. Azaz was having a pretty bad game, in fairness, up until his goal. His passing was off, he was losing the ball quite a bit, just didn't have the presence or the physicality that you kind of want when Hull players were defending against him. And it just wasn't a great game for Azaz, but then in that counter-attacking move, he worked the ball really nicely with his eye and took his goal well, so fair play to him. Sam Greenwood, though, may as well have not been there. I've mentioned this 1,000 times, and fans have even said it as well. We are at a point in the season now where the season's done. I don't understand what Carrick sees in Sam Greenwood, why he is persisting with Sam Greenwood. For me, you bring in one of our own players, a youngster or something. I don't know why Sam Greenwood's getting as much game time as he is, because he's not going to be here in a few weeks. And his performances have picked up of late, but again, he was anonymous tonight, completely ineffective from the left-hand side. All I will say is he presses well, he runs around a lot, he chases the ball down, but offers us nothing going forward, and yeah, he was hooked off, and I'm not surprised. And I think, for me, give Silvera running the team between now and the end of the season. You may as well. I don't know what Greenwood offers. I really don't get it, to be honest with you. And then Latelath up front, he's just on it. Once again, he took his chance so well. Brilliant finish. He's clearly just full of confidence right now. And I think it was just a bit unfortunate for him that the quality around him tonight was just not quite there. As I say, a lot of the balls from Azaz were poor. A lot of the crosses were poor. I think he'd had no quality coming into him whatsoever, Lath. So he was feeding off bits and pieces really, but he took his goal exceptionally well and almost latched on to the end of a few of the chances as well, and continues to be a bit of a revelation in this Borough team at the moment, and I'm all for this continuing. Substitutes, Silvera come on, Thomas come on. I thought Thomas did alright when he come on, if I'm honest, as much as I would have liked to have seen Bangura, who finally returned to the bench after his injury that he suffered against Chelsea back in January. But Thomas did alright when he come on. Silvera didn't really have much of an impact on the game, and this was the momentum. And as you can see, Borough started really, really well, and lost it pretty much after the 19th minute. From 20 minutes onwards, it was all Hull. Borough were just absolutely up against it, and that's, of course, where Hull's 2 goals eventually come from. Second half, a lot more of a basketball game. One way, then the other. One side, then the other, up and down, either way. And in the end, it sort of, I guess, ended in the fairest result, which was a draw, as much as neither side would have wanted it. Possession-wise, Hull dominated it, which is fair enough. XG was pretty similar, 1.6 for Hull, 1.1 for us. They had a few more shots than us, 1 more on target than we did. We both had 3 big chances. They missed 2, we missed 1. So it was a very, very even game, and I think both sides will just come out of it. As I say, normally they'd probably shake hands and say fair play, that's a good result, but it's not in the context of things, and this is why. The league table looks like this. Norwich, of course, dropped points last night, so the door was open for Borough to close the gap down to 4. And had we done that, it would have been game on, in my eyes. But, unfortunately, the 2 drop points puts us basically as we were before. A ball was kicked for all the sides this midweek. 6 points to Norwich. And unfortunately, with only 4 games to go, we'd have to win every single game, and we'd need Norwich to lose at least 2 of theirs. You then factor in Coventry have got a game in hand, Preston have a game in hand, Hull have a game in hand. I think, as I've been saying for a long time, Borough have always looked like we'd finish 8th to 10th, and that's where I think we're going to finish now. And as I said a few weeks ago, before this really good run kicked in, I want to see us go to Ipswich and Leeds and really upset their playoff hopes, because the playoff sides have absolutely fell off a cliff in recent games. I mean, I don't know what's going on. No one wants to get automatically promoted, it seems. Leicester lost last night. You've got Ipswich drawing 0-0 tonight, Leeds drawing 0-0 at Sunderland. They both lost their games prior to Norwich and Coventry respectively. So, yeah, the top 3 suddenly don't want to get promoted. So if there was an opportunity for Borough to go to Ipswich and get something at home to Leeds, it's probably now. So it's a shame that there's nothing really on it for Borough anymore, but as I said, not too long ago, if we can disrupt the title charging or promotion charging sides at the top and play our own part in the automatic promotion race from an external POV, I am all for it. So it's one of them, I'm not gutted that Borough are out of the playoff race, because essentially it was a really, really, really big long shot anyway. And let's be fair, we'd have to go into the playoffs flying to have any sort of a chance. Realistically, you're going to have Leeds and Southampton in there, and you're going to play one of them. And do you fancy beating them both over 2 legs? Probably not. So in terms of a playoff 4, it's the complete polar opposite to last season. Last season, I don't think Borough could have wished for a better playoff four to be a part of, and we well and truly bottled it. This season, it's probably going to be one of the toughest playoff four you're going to ever be in. The team who finishes 6th have got such an uphill task, with one of Leicester, Ipswich and Leeds in there, Southampton. West Brom, who I think are very underrated. Corberan is a manager I would not want to face in a two-legged semi-final. So, yeah, it would have been a tough ask anyway, but I'm just glad to see that we've sort of found the Borough of old, still making a few annoying errors, but going forward we're looking pretty good, and I still look back to certain periods of the season, you know, how bad we were in the first 7 games, bottom of the league and winless, the bad run we went on in January, the number of injuries we've had a few of them things turned in our favour. We'd had a better start, we'd had better luck with injuries, we'd be right there. We'd be right there, in and amongst it, fighting for 6th, and unfortunately we've fallen just short. It makes me pretty confident for next season if we can just keep our best players fit and improve the team, with hopefully a slightly easier championship, if that's even a thing. We'll be there again next season to really give it a good go and see what happens. But that's it, guys. That is curtains for Borough's playoff hopes. And we now head to Ipswich at the weekend, which is going to be a really difficult game, but Borough can sort of approach this with absolutely nothing to lose. No pressure. It's not do or die anymore. We can go there, we can enjoy it, we can try and upset, you know, the ultimate surprise package of the season in Ipswich Town, and try and play our part in the automatic promotion race. And it'll be the same again 8 days following that, or 9 days after that, when we host Leeds. So we'll see what happens against Ipswich. As I said at the start of the video, all 4 of my run-in predictions have come true thus far, so if that run is to continue, we will lose to Ipswich at the weekend, but I'm hoping Borough will go there and pick up a result, because arguably it's the toughest place to go, and it would be a fantastic result if we could get something from Portman Road. But that's it for tonight, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, do hit the like button and subscribe for more, and hit the bell too, so you never miss an upload. If you're listening on the podcast providers, as always, give me a like, a rating and a follow over there, and we'll be back the weekend to see what on earth happens when Borough head to the ultimate underdogs and the surprise package of the championship this season when they go to Portman Road to face Kieran McKenna's Ipswich. But until then, do take care, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.